As of recent times, Pope Benedict has unfortunately passed away of old age. Now, despite his recent passing, we see that this man has led a life of integrity, honesty, and humility in which he was able to influence thousands of souls, both to his calling, which was the Catholic Church, as well as for social causes that he deemed worthy and necessary to make humanity a better place. And of all of the things that he taught, one thing that he said spoke to me very personally, and that was that integrity is what leads souls. Now, when he said this, it wasn't specifically because he was trying to lead people to Christ at the time, but rather he was talking about how one person's ability to just stand up amidst the crowd and do what was right could lead thousands, if not generations of people to having better lives in the future and cause a betterment of society just by that one person's action of speaking out. And very similarly, this quote that was done by the Pope Benedict can be tied to today's quote that we are given, which is that people in the streets are not waiting for anybody to take the lead. They are the leaders of their own revolutions. And I believe this quote very strongly today, because when we see that every person has the ability, no matter who it is, we have the ability as individuals, no matter how small or insignificant that we may seem, we have the ability to lead generations. Just like the Pope said, we have the ability to influence people by our very actions, if not just by our words. We see this in society, and we see this personally. So today, when we analyze this quote, I'm going to be looking more specifically in two key areas of analysis. Number one, by looking at groups of people who have internalized this quote and lived it out to the fullest. And then we're going to be looking, secondly, at a greater implication of what it means to have that person waiting in the streets. What does waiting in the streets mean? And what does it mean to make that revolution happen? So first of all, looking at some people in society we have seen that have actually embodied this quote, we have to first look at Fatima. Fatima, who stated this quote, was a person, not only a great poet, but an influencer. And during this time in Fatima's country, there was revolution, there was great strife, and there was war. People were dying because of famine and disease, and the government was doing very little to intervene and step in. But Fatima didn't care, because just like the Pope said, Fatima was that one person who used words to speak out against systems of injustice. We can see this expressed through the Iranian peoples whenever they are fighting against their own government and systemic bigotry against inferior ethnic groups. We could see this through the Ukrainian people in recent times with the war raging on when they have unjustly been pushed around by a larger hegemonic force. We have seen this through the Native Americans, especially the peoples like the Hedge Indians and the Haudenosaunee, in which they were dishomed, they were moved across the United States, put in a land that was not theirs, and starved to death. Even though their people saw that they were struggling, they kept on for the betterment of their people, and they fought. No matter what settlers were doing against them, they fought. And each of these people that I have mentioned to you have all understood that their hardship was great, and their situation seemed perilous, but they didn't care because they had one thing that could never be taken from them, and that was the fact that they had the fighting spirit, the revolution, so to speak, within them, that told them that they had to keep going, even though it might have been easier in that moment to just lay down and never opened their eyes again. They fought for their people and the betterment of society, and they kept on living, breathing, and going on to help their people prosper, survive, and succeed. So moving on to our second point of analysis, what it actually means to not only wait. Who are those people waiting in the streets in this quote by Fatima, and what does it mean to have revolution? Well, in a personal sense, we can see that the waiting person might be our inhibitions, whatever is keeping us from doing what we know to be right and what we should do. Waiting itself has lots of figurative language and connotation within Fatima's culture, and which waiting symbolized death, so to speak, the impending death that would come if we didn't take action immediately. Waiting symbolizes stagnation. Stagnant water, for example, is often seen to be filthy or unclean because it's ridden with bacteria. It does nothing more than sit there and build pollution because there's no movement. And very similarly, if we in our lives do not do anything, if we don't contribute actively to the betterment of ourselves or our societies, we sit there and we build filth. We're nothing more than, again, leeches to helping others help themselves. We do nothing in society but drain the resources because we ourselves are too afraid to help and contribute. So very similarly, The person who waits is the person who causes nothing to happen, the person who is apathetic, that causes more deaths because of their apathy, and thus life continues on. However, the revolution is the person who acts. The revolutionary steps in and does what's right to help people succeed, just like all of those races have done in the past, and just like Fatima did against a tyrannical government. So today we've analyzed the question, or the quote I should say, that people in the streets are not waiting for anybody to come and take the lead. We are our own revolutionary. This reigns true, and it has been seen in two key areas of analysis. Thank you.